but it continues. I say that the old were also young. Because I say youth is a transient status. Okay? The difference between the old and the young is just very simple. That the old have at one time been young also. They've been youth before. So they know what it means to be a youth and also know what it means to be old. But the young do not know what it means to be old because they have never been old. They have never been old. So the difference between the old and the young is what is called experience. Experience. You see somebody doing something, you see he's making a mistake, but let him learn from his mistake. Because they say, I wish I could advise him not to do what he's trying to do right now. But that is how the way of nature. Now, I have listened very carefully to what Tabitha said about the youth Iyala. And we are here today, once again, at a crossroads as a country. They say the more things change, the more they remain. Yes. See, the Kenya as a country was founded in 1963 after a very long heroic struggle of the people of Kenya. I happened to have been present as a youth witnessing the struggle. And I saw how the older ones, who are older than us, we are young people, babies actually, how they were struggling, how the youth were being arrested, how the youth were being imprisoned. It was a very fierce battle. And it was across the whole country. Those youth who fought at that time now, most of them are either dead or are now very old. So Kenya then attained independence, and everybody was so happy. I happened myself to be out of the country at that time studying, but remember us standing there, there's a time differential of 2 hours between Kenya and where we were. But it was exactly at midnight when the Kenyans assembled at what is called Uhuru Gardens. And then the Union Jack was lowered and the Kenyan flag was hoisted. Kenya became independent in 1963, December. So Kenyan people were very, very optimistic. So the most optimistic people in the world. You have now conquered. You have a new flag. You have now a new nation. And we then had a fairly democratic constitution that separated powers. So you had the legislature, you had the executive, you had the judiciary. So you had a prime minister. At that time, Kenya was independent but not a republic. The head of state was the Queen of England and government. Then we had also a devolved system of government called Majimbo. Kenya was divided into 7 Majimbos, with Nairobi being designated as an extraterritorial county. These Majimbos were headed by presidents. Then now, what happened was when they were now writing the Republican Constitution, when Kenya was becoming a republic 1 year later, that is where things started going wrong. They now created a president out of a prime minister who was now both head of state and head of government. So the president is one time a head of state living in state house. At the same time, he's also the head of government. And then the then prime minister was graduated from being a prime minister and becoming an executive president without going for any elections. That was in 1964. 64. Thereafter, then they started the process of constitutional amendments. If you look at those constitutional amendments, they're altogether nearly 33 different amendments. And all of them had basically the intention of removing power from the periphery to the center. So you ended up creating a very powerful center, a president, in the name of president. And the president was above the law, could not be prosecuted. And so the presidency emasculated all other institutions of governance that time. You find that the majimbos, the majimbo was done away with, an amendment, so that they removed majimbo and created a unitary system of government. Then they also to remove the Senate. It was a bicameral house, Senate and the National Assembly. Senate was dissolved and created just only a National Assembly, which is called the Parliament. Then they used to have regional assemblies. Regional assemblies were also dissolved, ended up also called local government authorities. And they created a very powerful ministry called Minister for Local Government, who was an executive minister, but sitting here in Nairobi. So those assemblies basically were powerless. And then, on the other hand, they came up with a law that controlled the media. So the media itself was muzzled, could not speak. And then they also introduced what they call Preservation of Public Order Act, that allowed the government to arrest and detain anybody without any trial. If you are seen as a political dissident, you'd be arrested and you'd be sent to detention. And you'll be held in detention at the pleasure of the president. Some people spent 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Others spent up to 10 years in detention. They just arrest you. They take you to a police station. From there, you are taken to some room somewhere. And then an order is brought to you, a detention order signed by the minister in charge of internal security, that you have been found to have engaged in subversive activities against the Republic of Kenya. Therefore, your detention has become necessary. So you are picked up and taken. They will take you to different places. I spent years in community prison, Shimulatewa, Naivasha, Manyani, and so on. Yeah. So this is what was happening. And that went on for a long time. Until then they again came up, the Kenya was a multi-party system at independence. In 1969, they banned the only opposition party. It remained as a single party de jure up to 1981. 1981, when we wanted to form a political party, they moved to parliament and brought an amendment to the constitution, the infamous section 2A, which made the country a de jure de jure single party dictatorship. That's where now the mama na baba started. So mama na baba